Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking to the lovely Lorna from My Weddings. Now, Lorna is a wedding planner who specialises in LGBTQ weddings. And as she explains later, she does this because when she was planning her own wedding, she struggled to find suppliers that were inclusive, and she struggled to find images and material and wedding related media that really spoke to her and her now wife. So I really enjoyed talking to Lorna about what she does, the services she provides, and I learned so much about how wedding planner can help you with your special day and the different levels of involvement that they can have, whether it's designing the whole wedding from scratch or coming in at the last minute or just sorting out the bits and pieces that you're struggling with. So I learned a lot. I'm sure you're going to learn lots too. Lorna's got a lovely soothing voice, so if you're just relaxing and sitting down and ready to just forget all your chores and all your worries, my chat with Lorna will hopefully help you just to take a few minutes to enjoy your day and gain some really valuable inspiration when planning your wedding. Enjoy the episode. Hello Lorna, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming all this way to speak to me.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. Tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
So I'm Lorna Reeves and I'm the founder of My Weddings, which is the UK's #1 LGBT dedicated wedding planning service.
Wow, What a polished intro. I love it. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit more about that business. When did you start it? How did it all come about?
So fairly new at trading, but I've been planning weddings on and off for the best part of 10 years. Friends and family and my own. And really, business idea stemmed from when I planned my wedding to my wife. It was stressful, it was time consuming, it was hectic, as anybody going through it is bound to resonate with.
Absolutely.
The big thing that stuck out for me, bearing in mind this was probably 2010, 2011, was we were looking for venues and looking for suppliers and really constantly having to explain my relationship. And I was getting booking forms through that said name of the bride and name of the groom, and had to go through and cross out groom and write in other bride. And constantly explain that no, I'm not marrying a man, I'm marrying a woman. And I guess it really just took the shine off it quite a lot. It really made us feel quite excluded or not as welcomed.
I can imagine, yeah.
So after our wedding, really thought about I can't be the only one, and that idea started to grow and started to develop, and started to have a chat with different venues and just suggest maybe take out bride and groom, or maybe just put client 1 and client 2, see how much difference that makes. And that kind of grew into My Weddings. So fantastic. We just cater mostly for the LGBT community.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what are the main reasons that people book you or book a wedding planner in general? Because I think there's some misconceptions that it's for these sort of really rich and wealthy people where money is absolutely no object. And they're not having anything to do with their wedding, they're just turning up on the day. So why do people come to you? What are the problems that they have?
So lots of my clients are extremely busy, they've got big jobs, as most of us have now. Both parties are working really long hours, but they want to have an amazing wedding. And the kind of 3 main problems that people have is stress. They've got enough of it in their lives anyway, with work and family.
Totally.
To then put a wedding on the top just adds to the workload. Time is another big one. So if you're working long hours, you really don't want to be spending every evening and weekend Googling or other search engines, research and appointments and all of that kind of stuff. And that's really where we come in. We'll do all of that research for you. Give us your brief, tell us what it looks like, and we'll make it happen. Or we'll give you a series of options. We'll only present the ideas and the venues and the suppliers that really support your brief and your vision. So it takes out the hundreds of hours of research work. So you still get control, you still get to choose the where and the how and how it looks. You also get to keep control of your budget. It doesn't give us free rein to go off and spend all your money, but it really makes sure it's staying true to what you want for your day, and whatever that looks like. That's the other main stress, and the big one for my clients particularly is that they are fed up of having to out themselves to every supplier and venue. So that's the kind of added benefit that I have in my companies, that all my suppliers are pre-vetted, hand-selected. So a photographer knows if I phone and say, I've got this wonderful couple, this is what they're looking for, they automatically know that it's going to be an LGBT couple. So that awkwardness and uncomfortability is taken out right from the beginning.
That's a huge relief to a lot of people. And like you say, with your wedding, it doesn't take the shine off planning their day, which I thought was a lovely phrase that you use. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it makes them feel special and loved from the outset, which is what you want for your big day.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that you've had those experiences yourself and have been through that personally, because I think there's a lot of people that come from the field of event planning and go into wedding planning, but it's not just those practical aspects, is it? It's the emotions attached, especially like you say for LGBT plus couples.
Yeah, absolutely, and the wedding is emotion. The whole day is about emotion. It's about celebrating who you two are as a partnership. Events can be quite clinical. You're looking to spend a particular amount, potentially make some money at the end of it, whereas weddings are all about the emotion. It's about the flowers and the outfits and everybody having a really good time, but it really is an emotive celebration of two people that are saying that we really love each other and we want you, our friends and family, to support us in our life.
And I think without stereotyping, for LGBT couples in particular, they've come a long way to get to that stage where they can stand up with the person they love in front of their friends and family and commit to each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it's 5 years since the first marriage. Yeah, so that's a really short period of time where it's actually been legal to get married.
And absolutely.
And when you think, how many people struggle with coming out and telling people and being themselves and then finding someone, it's hard for anyone to find the right person.
And that's also exactly it, because it is so new. A lot of LGBT couples have no idea where to start. They haven't necessarily been sitting in their bedroom since they were 8 years old planning their big day. They don't have a lot of role models to plan their day from. We're not represented in the main media, so how do you know what your wedding day is going to look like until you get someone to help you define that vision? To take the rule book and pick the bits that you want, or rip it to shreds, throw it out the window and start from scratch. Yeah,
that's what I find. I've had couples come to me and they're like, well, we're not sure what we're going to do about this tradition because it doesn't really fit, and we're not sure what we're going to do then, and we don't know what to do then. And then by the time I meet them right before their wedding, they've just gone with it. Like, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're having that, we're going to do that, we're not doing that, but we're doing this. And they love it because they really make it their own, actually. And I think that must be a huge part of your job, is helping them to make it their own. And like you say, just ripping up the rule book and taking bits from it that resonate.
To choose the bits that you really, really want and get rid of everything else. And part of my job is to help people not get railroaded as well by, this is a venue, these are the packages we supply. Actually, they don't work for my couple. They like these bits, but they don't like these other bits. And that's not really who they are. That doesn't really speak to their values. That doesn't really express their individuality. So big part of my role is really advocating for what they want and really pushing towards making that particular vision become a reality.
That's a really nice way of putting it. You're advocating what they want. I think that's quite a powerful phrase to use. Absolutely. Sounds brilliant. So you've talked a little bit about venues packages. What are your packages? Do you offer different levels of involvement and services?
So all of my ethos and the company ethos is built around the 5 big pillar points that we call the 5 Ds. So we have discovery, dream, decisions, design and then the delivery. So
very nice.
by breaking the whole wedding process down into small bite-sized chunks, it doesn't become overwhelming. Everybody can see how it's developing and growing, and you're not trying to put a colour scheme to a venue that you haven't even decided on. So it all happens in quite a methodical and organised way.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's the plan. And then I offer just different packages depending on what couples want. Some couples have done all the planning and they are 8 weeks out and it's all becoming a bit overwhelming. So I've got an on-the-day package. So I'll work with couples just finalising their final briefs, double checking with all the suppliers and venues that they've got, any finishing touches, final arrangements that need to be made, and then essentially delivering their day with a guarantee that it's not going to go wrong. They can just turn up, they don't have to worry about who is where, they don't have to worry about remembering things like blister plasters or spare deodorant. I've got all of that in hand, so they can just be completely immersed in the day. And then I offer 2 main wedding planning packages, which is one is a kind of mid-range package, so I'll do all of the big stuff with them, venues, photographers, invitations, florists, and we'll get all of those booked. So we'll get right up to the design phase, so that everybody knows what it's going to look like, but then I'll kind of leave the couple to manage their own RSVP list, to manage their own budgets, paying the final budgets. And sometimes that can work if the venue has got a really good events team. It's quite a nice point at which to hand the project over. So quite some couples just need a bit of guidance in the beginning, but they're happy to carry on the end bit themselves. And then my ultimate package, which is the Spoil You Rotten package, is I'm there with you for the whole journey. We do all of the usual venue supplier appointments. I also go to the fittings, and quite a lot of my couples, they might both want to wear a dress or they both want to wear suits, but they don't want to see each other's. Okay. So I'm quite a good go-between to make sure. Yeah,
that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, making sure that they complement without being too matchy or completely clashing, to kind of mediate between those two, and I'll be that honest voice of reason that says it needs an extra nip and a tuck, or maybe it needs letting out slightly, really to make sure both parties are looking their absolute best.
Brilliant.
And I'll do all the RSVP management as well, and the budget management, so the bits that can cause quite a bit of stress, rounding people up. And then obviously with that comes me on tap, unlimited phone calls and emails and relevant meetings. I can come and meet you at work, or I might be able to meet you at your family home, whatever that is. But it's really immersive, and it means I get to know the couple really well. I get to know their likes and their dislikes, and the really good relationship and chemistry that they have with each other, which just enables me to do my job better.
Yeah.
If I know the nuances of your relationship,
definitely,
I can help make your day even more spectacular.
Brilliant. Yeah, people, planning a wedding, I always say they don't have necessarily those project management skills. Yeah. So many different skill sets need to be applied to create this wonderful wedding, and it can be really overwhelming. So I think to have someone like yourself come in and, not take over. I think that's another misconception, that you take over and it becomes about what you do or what you want. And I think, it's nice that you come and get to know them and build from there.
Yeah. Let me take the stress away. I want you to like each other by the time you get to your wedding. And I want you to be relaxed and fresh by the time you get there. You've not had 2 weeks of sleepless nights. You're still connected. You don't hate the idea of your wedding because you've been planning it for 18 months.
I'm sure that happens a lot.
People are just fed up and want to get it over with, but not being immersed in the planning 24/7 really makes it still feel exciting and fresh, and still looking forward to it.
Definitely. And in my book I talk about planning things for after the wedding.
Absolutely.
So that your relationship doesn't just become about that one day. So actually, like you say, from what you do, you're keeping in the relationship, you're keeping that perspective and not just focusing on that one occasion.
Yeah, you're planning the start of a marriage as well as planning a wedding. This is the first day of the next chapter. The
big adventure. Absolutely. Brilliant. So obviously you've talked a little bit about finding suppliers and working with other wedding vendors. How do you go about that? What's your process for?
Quite often I will add people to my vendor list that I've actually met and spoken to. In fact, I haven't got anybody on my list that we haven't at least had a video call.
Okay.
And I really like to get to know people to make sure that they've not just, got the token same-sex marriage on their website, or they've got a token rainbow badge, that they're actually really committed to driving forward equality.
Yeah.
And that can be from using same-sex couples or LGBT couples in their marketing consistently, and it's used alongside all sorts of couples, and they really go to town on using a broad range and representation, but also that they either have done some work or want to do some work on the kind of language that they're using in their websites and their booking forms and their following up materials, that it's all gender neutral, and they're asking questions. How can I be more inclusive? Or I have this couple but I'm not sure what pronouns they use, and they're asking the right questions, so that they're not just demonstrating we accept LGBT couples, but they're really driving forward the equality and driving
really
forward
important.
change.
Fantastic. Yeah, and there's a big difference, as we've discussed privately, about people that have a token rainbow flag or a token tweak of a sentence here or there, and people that are really driving change. Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously you have quite a lot of one genre of vendors, so it doesn't limit couples that come to you and they're like, okay, we've got a choice of 2 photographers or 2 venues. It's about still having choice, isn't it, when you come to your weddings? Yeah,
and I have a collection from all over the country, so I don't necessarily need to drag a photographer from London to Manchester. I'll have a collection of photographers, different styles and different price ranges as well, that will work in and around those areas. So I really try and keep the business local where I can as well, because I think that supports not only the LGBT community and the development in that area, but it also supports the business communities in those areas as well.
That's really key. Fantastic. So do you have any advice, regardless of whether a couple are going to a wedding planner or planning it themselves, any advice on creating that bespoke and unique wedding?
Decide on your big 3. So I say religion, budget and the size of your wedding is the first conversation you need to have.
Okay.
You might have been with somebody for years and years. You assume you know where they stand on religion until you say, well, obviously we won't have a church wedding. And the other person says, no, actually, that's all I've ever dreamed about is a church wedding. So religion's a really important one to get out of the way. The budget, how much you would like to spend in an ideal world, but how much you're willing to go to, what is your absolute max, and that you can afford realistically. You don't want it to become a burden. And then the size of the weddings. People quite often have very differing opinions, from we want to elope with 2 of our best friends and head off to New York, to we want to invite all of our friends to a party. So really get your big 3 out of the way. And then one activity that I suggest for all of my couples before I meet them for their dream session is use wonderful Pinterest, independent of each other.
Okay.
And pin 2 boards. So I need to see each of the couples likes for their wedding day. So you can start to pull out similarities that you've got between you, but also the differences. And are the differences real deal breakers? As in, one wants inflatable flamingos and the other one couldn't think of anything more. Or are you reasonably on the same page, and actually you could put those 2 boards together and they'd be quite cohesive. I think it's good to have those kind of vision conversations up front, which makes the decision making much easier. And
doing it independently, I think, is really interesting. I've never heard of that, and that's a really good tip, because you're starting off, although compromise is important, you're starting off with no creative limits, because you're not trying to think of somebody else, just yourself.
What do you want for yourself on your day?
That's really,
I quite often find that there'll be one person that is more vocal or is more creative in the couple and finds it very easy to do that sort of activity. And then there'll be one that says, do you know what, I really don't mind. As long as there's a really good party and our friends are there, I really don't mind.
Yeah.
but actually doing the activity separately, there are usually a couple of things that are deal breakers for them. And it'll be something as simple as the music we walk into has to be this song.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm willing to negotiate on, but this is the only thing that I really, really want.
Yeah.
And it just means you can have that conversation and you can make sure that it's incorporated. So both of you feel like it's your day.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy to say, I really don't mind, this, that or the other, until somebody suggests something that you don't like.
Exactly.
Especially, like we say, if you have an experience of planning a wedding and you don't know every single detail that you have to think about, it's very easy to say, oh, I don't really mind. And then you get into the details, and then you really have to consider likes and dislikes, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely. And at any point, either of you can veto an idea. If it gets 6 months down the line, and actually now that you've seen this colour scheme starting to come to life, you have to be able to speak up.
Yeah.
You can't, within reason, you can't really redo your wedding day. You've got to be happy with it from the outset. So it's never too late to press pause, regroup, and go again.
Oh, that's a really good tip. I really like that. Yeah, it's not we've committed now and we've got to go with it. So how often do you speak with your couples? Does it start, I take it starts with an initial meeting face to face?
Yep. We meet for the initial discovery call. So I think it's really important. Sometimes it'll be a video call if the couple's far away, or we'll meet face to face, usually in a nice bar or a nice restaurant. And just have a conversation. It's really important that the couple feel that I'm right for them as much as they are a good fit for clients for me as well, to make sure that both of us are happy to move forward. And then we move on to the dream section, which is my favourite bit. No holds barred. What if money was
Limitless,
no object? What would you want for your big day? And there's kind of natural points at which. So after the dream section, the decision making happens. So after dream, I'll go away and I'll research venues. So availability plays a big part. If you only want to get married in April, I need to go and find venues that have got availability.
Yeah.
And that are in your price range that fit your brief. So then there's a natural meeting at which point the decisions need to be made.
Right.
But I'll generally check in every 1 or 2 weeks just to make sure everything's moving along nicely. At any point, if my couples need to ask me a question or they've got a query about something, we can book in a call and we can definitely talk about it. But there tends to be natural points at which
you'll meet up and converse.
Face-to-face meetings and just check we're all still on track. There's been no major life changes because in 18 months, a lot of stuff
changes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's okay. We just need to both be communicating all of that.
Yeah.
And to make sure we're all still on the same page.
Brilliant.
Throughout.
So obviously you've got different packages in terms of how much you do and where in the process you come in or exit. But where do your roles and responsibilities end? Is there anything anything or more than one thing that your couples need to provide you with in order to do your job to the best of your ability?
I really need honesty from both of them, and for them to be communicating with me, even if it's a hard message to deliver. As in, I know that you've spent a lot of time and effort negotiating with this venue, but actually we've changed our minds and we don't like it. That's okay. I need you to be honest and I need you to be communicating with me.
Yeah.
And some couples like to do things themselves, or members of their family want to get involved and help with some things as well. That's okay. But just let me know that, my mum's going to do the flowers, so we don't need to worry about that bit. That's more than happy with that. I want the family members to be involved. I want people that want to be supportive and part of it to be involved in the big day. But just let me know. Just keep communicating. That's the biggest aspect. And sometimes I really will push for my couples to make a decision. Deadlines will get to a certain point, and I'll say, okay, I've not heard back from you from email, so I'll do a quick call around. I really need a decision on X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, we could risk losing it, or otherwise we're not going to be able to fit these things in time. So sometimes we'll need to get a bit
gentle
firm.
nudge,
and
assertive.
And just encourage people to make the decisions that they need to in order for them to have the best day possible.
Cool. So yeah, you obviously have to be quite solutions focused, I
Absolutely.
would say, and good at problem solving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where, coming from a place where I know my couples well, it means especially on the day, things will happen on the day without doubt. But if I know the couple well, I can make that split-minute decision, usually for the best.
Yeah.
I've got to know you well enough that I can make that decision confidently that that's what you would have wanted me to say.
Yeah.
So that's, usually the solutions bit comes in on the day or the night before. Something will happen, but it's my job to make sure that the couple are not disturbed, that they're not stressing about it, that they're not worried about it, that I can resolve it quickly with a bit of duct tape and a safety pin sometimes.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's solved without too many problems, without having to.
Yeah, it must be certain situations must be a case of fixing it, and the couple don't even need to know, or telling the couple but reassuring them it's not a big deal. So it's that fine line, isn't it?
And telling the couple but already having a solution or a suite of solutions. This has happened, and these are your options. These are where we can go next. This is what I recommend, but it is ultimately your choice.
Yeah.
I think if you can do that in a calm way, nerves and tension is already running high. If you can do it in a calm way, you can sail through most problems.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much for all you've shared so far today. I always ask guests to end with, I wish someone had told me. So obviously you're a happily married lady.
Yes.
You are for the sake of the podcast. You look very happy, so that's all right.
More than happy.
I always sort of say that with a slight question mark, but yeah.
No, I'm very lucky. We are both very lucky.
Brilliant. What's your wife's name?
Sharon.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you and Sharon are happily married.
Yes.
Had a lovely wedding in 2011.
Yeah.
Yep. So is there anything you'd wish you'd known at the time, or you wish someone had told you to do or not do on your big day?
I'm glad someone did tell me. The piece of advice that I really took to heart was to take 5 minutes and be on our own. Our photographer was great and took us away, and we had some photographs with just each other while the guests were getting shown into dinner, which was lovely. But then we asked the photographer to leave, and it was literally 5 minutes just to check in with each other.
That's really nice.
The day is manic, the day is amazing, but just actually to look at each other and say, wow, we are actually married. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm really good.
Check in with each other,
Yeah, and just actually we looked back at the ceremony room, and all our friends and family, all our nearest and dearest were sitting down, and they were all beaming, and you just think, actually, we've done all right. We've pulled this off.
Yeah.
We've had a really good day. So I'd always recommend any couples, spend at least 5 minutes with each other, and that was a really solid piece of advice that I got. And the other piece of advice I wish someone had told me was just to get on and do it. We spent nearly 2 years planning our wedding.
Oh, really?
And I was bored of talking about it by the time we got to it. Every friend that we met for dinner, every time we went out with anybody, it was, how's the wedding planning going? And there's only so many times you can say, yeah, great. Or talk about confetti. So I wish we'd taken out a teeny tiny loan or an interest-free credit card for 24 months, booked it, done it within 16 weeks, while you're still really excited from being engaged and everybody loves the party, and then paid for it afterwards. And then, so we ended up saving beforehand, so we paid it off on the day. I wish we'd done it the other way round.
And just kept that buzz, and kept that shine.
Yeah, kept that excitement, kept that wave running on adrenaline.
And that can help in so many ways as well, can't it? Because you can have too much choice, you can overthink.
Absolutely.
Keep changing your mind. Yeah,
it
so
gives
just
you too much room.
Yeah.
And you get some really good deals doing it last minute as well.
Yeah.
If you're not too fussed about the specific date, you can get some fantastic deals, because venues want your business and they want to fill up spots that they haven't filled. So people wanting to get married this year would get some really good value deals.
Yeah.
I wish we'd done that. I wish somebody had said that to us in the beginning.
Yeah, and if you're doing it last minute, get a wedding planner and they'll make it go a lot smoother.
Absolutely. I think my cut-off would be about 12 weeks to plan a wedding. We could do it faster.
That's still pretty impressive though, in 12 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks would be would be okay. So if you want to get married this summer, it's not too late. You can still get on that
still do
bandwagon.
it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. There's some really useful information, and I've not worked with a lot of wedding planners, so it's really nice to know what you do and how you work with couples. And yeah, you're not just this alien person on the phone. You really get involved and take on board people's ideas, which is fantastic. So before you go, just share your website and your business details so people can have a little Google of you and find out more.
Fab. I am at www.myohmyweddings, MYOHMY weddings, and I'm on all the social media. Handles the same, My Oh My Weddings.
Fantastic. I'm Ross Wilshire, so you can find me at rosswilshirephotography.co.uk, at Ross Wilshire Photography on Facebook and Instagram, and at R Wilshire Photo on Twitter. My book is still available on Amazon and Waterstones online. And if you want to chat about anything wedding related, photography, podcasts, the book, whatever you want to do, send me an email, get in touch, and I'll be happy to speak to you. But thanks again, Lorna, for all your info and for coming to see me. And we'll be back very soon. Take care for now.
Bye.